Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Core Basic for Beginners. So yesterday I did quite a vigorous, energetic core workout, standing core workout. Today I am slowing it right down. I'm going right back to basics. This is ideal for total beginners or for anyone that wants a bit of a reminder of the complete basics of engaging your core. I'm just going to be telling you, explaining your core, engaging your core, and I'm going to do a few very, very simple exercises, but keeping it very, very basic. So if you're advanced, this is going to be too easy for you. So join me tomorrow for something else more advanced and more exciting and energetic. But today, this is very, very basic. Really gentle stuff, just learning about engaging your core. So of course your core muscles are made up of lots of different muscles. The main ones we're going to focus on are your abdominal muscles, and you've got your transverse abdominal muscles. They are the very, very deep muscles right underneath. You can't see my stomach, I'm just demonstrating, but you can't see. They're very deep tummy muscles, which we focus on a lot in Pilates. And then you've also got internal obliques and external obliques, which are more on the sides for your waist. And then you've got the front ones, your rectus abdominis muscles, which are your six-pack, if you have a six-pack. They're the muscles right in the front. So we're going to be focusing on targeting the transverse abdominis muscles, the very, very deep ones. And the important thing, the reason it's so important to be able to engage your muscles is because it can really, really help you to prevent injuries. And how many, I don't know how many of you have injured your back, hurt your back by just twisting or bending awkwardly. It's so easy to do. I've done it myself. You don't think about it. You just twist slightly awkwardly or bend, and it pulls your back, and it can really, really hurt and cause lots of problems. If you have got a nice strong core, and if you've learned how to engage your core muscles, you are going to be able to protect your back. You're going to be able to protect your spine. So if you do any twisting movements, or particularly if you're lifting something heavy, you can engage those muscles and it will help to protect your back. So you're imagining that you've got a cylinder of nice strong muscles around your middle that helps to protect your back. It helps to keep it nice and stable, which will help to prevent injuries. And and also it can help with posture. Of course, if you're slouching, it's going to make you look. If you're not tightening up your tummy muscles, they're going to stick out. If you tighten them up a little bit more, you're going to have better posture. You're going to stand up taller, look slimmer, and it's much better for you. So first of all, I'm going to lie down for this. So you can lie down on the floor, or you can lie down on your bed to do this. It's very, very basic. So you can lie down, but before I do that, I just want to focus on how do you engage your core muscles. So what you don't want to do really is to really, really squeeze your tummy in so much that you can't breathe or you can't talk. That's too much. What you want to imagine is that you're going to brace your tummy muscles. Imagine someone's going to punch you in the stomach. That's not a very nice thought, I know, but if you just imagine that, you want to be tightening up those muscles, bracing those muscles, so that if somebody punches you, it's just their fist is just going to bounce off. It won't hurt. You might want to think about zipping up your abdominal muscles, zipping up a zip at the front of your tummy. You might want to think about squeezing in your belly button a little bit, but not too far. Tightening up, squeezing your belly button in towards your spine a little bit, zipping up. But really not sucking in too much. You're not supposed to be sucking it right in. And the way that we normally describe it in Pilates is, imagine that you've got a belt around your middle and you're going to tighten the belt up. And to start with, you tighten it up as tight as you can. Imagine you've got 10 holes, 10 notches in the belt, and you tighten it all the way up to the 10th notch. You're really, really squeezing your belly button in towards your spine, and at that point you won't be able to breathe. So that's too far. So then you're going to let it back out. So it's halfway. It's tightened up to halfway, about 5 holes, 5 notches on your belt, and then let it back out a little bit more, so it's on the 3rd hole. So we try to imagine that you're tightening up, engaging your muscles to 30%. It's really, really difficult to envisage how much 30% is, But basically what I'm trying to say is that you're not squeezing it in all the way so that you can't breathe, and you're just squeezing it in a little bit. You're trying to tighten it up, trying to engage those muscles, try to brace those muscles, because that is going to help to protect your back. And particularly when you're doing Pilates, it's really, really important to use those muscles to get the most benefit out of the exercises, but also not just with Pilates, but with everyday life. As I just mentioned about, hurting your back, it's really, really important. If you can learn how to engage them, tighten them up to prevent yourself from injuring, from hurting your back, then that's really going to help you in life. So I'm going to lie down. I'm in I've got a different background today because I'm in sunny Suffolk, so I don't have much space, but hopefully you will be able to see me. So I'm going to lie down. So if you want to lie down on your bed, that will work, or on the floor, whatever works for you. I'm just going to do the basic posture. I'm just going to do it all lying on my back. So I just want to do some very, very basic exercises to make sure that you're engaging your core. So the basic Pilates posture. Your feet are hip distance apart, your knees are nice and parallel, your pelvis is in a neutral position. Now that's really important. We're going to tilt the pelvis forwards and backwards. If you tilt it up, your small of your back sinks down. If you tilt it down, your tailbone sinks down and you've got an arch underneath your back. You want to be in the middle of those positions. So you're tilting forwards and backwards, you're rolling a marble up and down your belly, up and down, and then you're coming to rest in the middle position. In that middle position, your hip bones and your pubic bone should be level in a nice triangle. Your pelvis there is nice and flat. It doesn't matter if you've got a big tummy, that's not going to be level. It's your bones that you're thinking about. So if you can feel where your hip bones are and your pubic bones, if they're flat in a nice triangle, that's your neutral spine position. You've probably got a little bit of a gap underneath your back. You probably can slip a hand underneath there. You don't want a big arch, but you might want a little bit of an arch. If that feels uncomfortable and it feels like your back is too arched, try to keep the pelvis still and then relax your ribs down a little bit so that you're comfortable. So you need to be in a comfortable position. Now, when you're doing your Pilates exercises, if you're not engaging your muscles, if you're letting them go and you start to do work that is too strong for your muscles and you're not holding them in, what will happen is that your back will arch and your pelvis will tilt out of its neutral position, and we don't want that. So the way that we check that you're using your core muscles is by maintaining that neutral spine position. So if you try to make sure that you've got that position with everything flat in a nice triangle, a little bit of a gap, but relax the ribs down if it's uncomfortable. And that's your neutral spine, and you've got to keep that still. You're keeping your hips still and your pelvis still. You don't want it to tilt forwards and backwards. You don't want it to tilt side to side when you start moving your legs. So that's how you will know if you're doing it. So to start off with, we're just going to breathe. So I want you to just breathe in and then breathe out. So I'm breathing in through my nose and breathing out through my mouth. So when you breathe out, that's when I want you to imagine that you're zipping up your tummy muscles, zipping it up here. Imagine you're putting on a pair of really tight jeans and you're zipping them up tightly, and you're tightening up those muscles here and pulling your belly button in a little bit towards your spine and engaging those muscles, bracing those muscles. So I'm going to breathe in. As you breathe out, zip up your tight jeans, tighten up your tummy, brace your tummy muscles, whatever language works for you, to try and make sure that you think that you're tightening up those muscles, tensing those muscles, but they're not squeezed in too much. You're not hollowing your tummy. You will still be able to breathe. So I'm going to breathe in, let it go to start with as you breathe in. So as you breathe in, you can let it go. As you breathe out, zip up the jeans, tighten up the tummy, pull the belly button in a little bit, brace the tummy so that if somebody punches you, you're not going to collapse, you're just going to bounce off. So your tummy is nice and tight. So you want to practice doing it with the breathing to start with. Breathe in, breathe out, tighten up. That's the easiest way to do it. Breathe in, let it go, breathe out, tighten it up. And then what you're aiming for is to be able to keep it tight while you're breathing in as well. So once you've mastered tightening up as you breathe out, this can be quite a slow process, so you can take it step by step in your own time. You might not get it all in one go. But if you can manage to keep it tight, tighten it up first, zip it up, tense it, tighten it up, engage those muscles, and then still keep breathing in, no change to your tummy, and breathing out, no change. That's what you're aiming for. You're aiming to be able to breathe nice and deeply whilst you're engaging those muscles. So I'm just going to do a very, very basic exercise. This is a single leg slide. So your pelvis is in its nice neutral position. You might have a little gap under here, but your pelvis is nice and flat. Tighten up those muscles, draw up the zip, tighten it up, tense those muscles. Breathe in, and then as you breathe out, you're going to slide one foot away from you. It's a single leg slide, sliding away a single leg. And then as you breathe in, you're sliding it back. As you breathe out, you're sliding the other one out. And as you breathe in, you're sliding it back. Now, what you've got to focus on is keeping the pelvis still. If you let go of the tummy, what can happen? The back can arch. We don't want that. And also the pelvis can tilt all over the place. This knee can wobble about. With Pilates, often the hardest bit is keeping still the bits that aren't moving. So the knees stay still, the pelvis stays still as you're moving the legs. So you're breathing in, got the tummy tight. As you breathe out, nothing's moving. Hip bones are still. Breathe in as you bring it back in. As you breathe out, it's sliding out. And as you breathe in, it's sliding back in. So your hip bones are pinned to the floor. You've got metal poles digging through your hip bones and pinning you to the floor. So your pelvis can't tilt sideways. Breathing out as you slide it away. Breathing in as you slide it in. So this can be quite difficult. If you're a total beginner and you've never thought about engaging your core muscles and you've never done it, this can be quite a challenge. So you want to master this first before you try anything harder. And there's no problem if it takes ages to master it, but really, really focus. You're also tightening up your pelvic floor muscles, so you're stopping yourself having a wee, because they're part of your core muscles as well. But today we're focusing mostly on the abdominals. So breathing in to prepare, breathing out as you slide the leg away, and breathing in as you slide it back, keeping everything nice and still. If you can feel it wobbling, you need to tighten it up a little bit more and focus a little bit more. The breathing helps. If you breathe out nice and deeply, breathing out and breathing in. So that's a really, really basic exercise that you can do to test whether you're keeping everything nice and still. So I'm just going to do one more exercise, very, very basic. Well, two really. I'm going to do a single knee fold. So I'm going to breathe in, and as I breathe out, I'm going to lift my knee up, fold the knee up, single knee fold. So you can see my knee is at a nice right angle, the knee's above the hip, the shins parallel to the floor. So of course, if you don't squeeze the tummy, and when you lift up, what can happen is your back can sink down into the floor. Your pelvis is tilting. Or the other way, your back can arch. And we don't want either of those to happen. We want to keep this pelvis nice and flat. We're engaging those muscles, tensing those muscles, tightening them up, whatever you want to call it, zipping up the jeans, so that whatever happens with your legs, the pelvis is staying still. So I'm going to breathe in to prepare. As I breathe out, I'm lifting up the other leg. Nice right angle, nice right angle behind the knee, knees above the hip, shins parallel to the floor. So it doesn't matter too much about the breathing, but the breathing that I would do for this is to breathe in to prepare, breathe out to lift it up, breathe in to hold, breathe out to relax it back down. Breathe in to prepare, breathe out to lift the other one up, breathe in to hold, and breathe out to relax it back down. So if you're lifting up your leg and you can feel your back sinking down, that means you're not engaging your muscles and you're not keeping your pelvis in its neutral position. So get into that neutral position, keep the pelvis nice and flat, tighten it up, and when you lift up the knee, nothing should move apart from that one leg that's moving. So you've really got to brace it and keep it tight. It looks like it's really, really easy, but it's not that easy. If you haven't done it before and you're not used to doing Pilates, it's not that easy. So this is a single knee fold, and I'm hoping that if you can do this without moving the pelvis, then you can move on to the next bit. But if you can't, and you can feel the pelvis wobbling about, then you need to stick with this level, just doing it like this. Just doing it like this. So one of the basic exercises in Pilates is the 100. Now you could do the 100 It's basically waving your arms about to the count of 100 beats. So the first way that you could do it as a beginner is to keep your feet flat on the floor, and you could just do the arms. While you're doing that, you're focusing on maintaining this neutral spine and engaging the core muscles. So you'd be breathing in for the count of 5 and breathing out for the count of 5. It's really, really basic in that position. So that's easy. You're just thinking about the core. The next level is to do it with the knee up in the single knee fold position. So if you're doing it there, then you can keep squeezing and you can keep the pelvis nice and tight. You can do the 100 there. So basically, when you start waving your arms about, it makes you wobble. So you've got to engage those core muscles to make sure that you're not moving. Again, if you feel your back arching or you feel it sinking down, if you feel your pelvis tilting anyway, then stop. You're not engaging it enough. You need to tighten it up and really keep it still. And you need to practice. So this is the 100 with the single knee fold. The next level, to make it a little bit harder, you need to imagine that underneath the other foot, you've got a cream cake. Now, you don't want to squash the cream cake, so you're going to lift your weight off of that foot. As soon as you lift a little bit of weight off that foot, if you can feel your back tensing up and maybe your back arching, then that's too much. So I can feel it. I can feel it working. As soon as I lift the weight off of that, it makes your tummy work more. Excuse me. Phone in the background, sorry. So, if you can imagine that you've got a cream cake underneath your foot, you can lift your foot up a little bit. You're not lifting up all the way, lifting it up a little bit. If that feels fine and you can keep the pelvis in its neutral position, you can keep the tummy tight, you cannot let the back arch, then that's great. You could do the 100 in that position. And obviously you'd then swap sides and do it on the other leg. So this leg's up, cream cake underneath the other one, engaging those muscles, the 100 in that position. So you've got your cream cake, which makes it a little bit harder, because as soon as you lift off the weight off that second foot, your pelvis wants to tilt out of position. So you've really got to focus much, much harder to not let it. So I'm just going to show you one more stage after this, which is much harder. And if it's too much for you, then please don't do it. So we did a single knee fold. You can do a double knee fold. Tighten up the tummy, squeeze the tummy in, lift up the other foot. So if you're used to doing it and you're doing Pilates for ages, this is okay. But if you're not used to doing it, then lifting 2 feet off of the floor can put a strain on your back. If you feel it hurting your back, or you feel your back arching, or you feel your back sinking down, if there's any movement there in your back and your pelvis is moving, then that position is too hard for you. And you need to keep one foot down, either with the cream cake or without the cream cake, up to you. So you only want to do this position if you can maintain that neutral spine position and maintain engaging those core muscles all the time you do it. The 100 you would do with your arms like this. I'm not doing a whole 100. I'm just showing you the steps. So that's all I'm going to do today, because I really wanted to keep it basic. So tightening up your core muscles, zipping up your tight jeans, pulling your belly button in towards your spine a little bit, but not too much. Practice with the breathing first. Breathe in to prepare, and as you breathe out, that's when you want to tighten up. Practice it like that first. Then you want to practice keeping the tummy squeezed in whilst you're breathing in and out. That would be the next stage. Then you can start doing your single leg slides, breathing in as you breathe out, sliding one leg away. As you breathe in, sliding it back. You're in your neutral position. You're not letting your pelvis tilt. That's very, very basic. There's loads of other basic things that you can do, but this is, I think the easiest one to really, really check whether you're working those muscles, not so that you're not wobbling about. So that's your single leg slide, and then you've got your single knee fold. And again, if you can't do that without tilting the pelvis, don't do it. Stick to these ones. If you can do the single knee fold, if you can do the cream cake underneath, great. You don't even have to do the 100. You could just be in this position, in that, and keep in that position. And as long as you are tightening up that tummy so that somebody punches you, it just bounces off, then that's great. You're using those muscles. You're engaging those core muscles. Swap legs to do it, so you don't do it all on one leg. So you've got your single knee fold position. That's okay. To make it harder, cream cake underneath your foot. So you've got a little bit of weight, but not too much there. And the hardest option is to lift up the other one. Before you lift up the second foot, squeeze the tummy in a little bit more. So if you're okay in that position, if that position doesn't make you arch your back, doesn't make your tummy pop up, and it doesn't make your pelvis move, then you can do all of the exercises that start in this position, and you know that you're engaging your core muscles. But if you can't, if as soon as you lift up the second foot it's too much for you, if you feel any pain or soreness in your back, then always keep one foot back down on the floor. So that was a very, very basic explanation and a few little exercises to show you. Oops, zoom in, to show you. I just wanted to show you that. So if you are keen, then it would be lovely if you could practice those. And remember, it's not just for Pilates, but it's really, really useful for everyday life. So if you can try to incorporate engaging your core muscles, whenever you want to lift anything heavy, whenever you need to twist or bend, you really, really can help to prevent injury, to help pulling your back and hurting yourself. So I hope that is useful for you. That was something for total beginners. Tomorrow will be something much more difficult for anyone who wants a bit more of a challenge. So thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow.